am grateful to be here with all of you today. I just want to mention to you that if there is any technical difficulty with the camera, we women will not be deterred. We persevere. If there is any technical difficulty, I do pretty much all of my work on Zoom, teach classes in a lot of different places. So if there's a problem, we are still ready to go. If the visual is not working, we are still here gathered to learn, grow, and challenge ourselves. Let's start by giving ourselves, everybody, a little hand clap, please. Let me see all of you. We are women who are looking to get things done in 2023, correct? Part of getting things done is taking the first step. Part of the first step is joining in on this program. So you will have done more today than many people will do all year for their finances, with the exception of checking their bank balances on their phone. I don't really count that as financial management. So I am proud of all of you that you took the time out of your busy days to make it a priority to gather in community so that we could stretch ourselves to learn and grow in the area of financial freedom. So in the context of today's message, I have prepared a PowerPoint, a simple PowerPoint to sort of guide us through the message today. I realize our time is brief and the frame of what I would love to share with you is very vast. So the PowerPoint will help us kind of guide along and stay on track. I will ask you that if you don't already have a paper and a pencil and something to write with, to please get something. I know we all have our phones and can take our notes on our phones, but oh, those could be very distracting, as we know. So I always challenge my students and people that I do coaching lessons with to try to set their phone aside if at all possible, get an old-fashioned paper and pencil handy, and take some notes for yourself. And then what we'll do is it's an informal gathering of us women, and I will slide through and guide us through the PowerPoint. During the context of the PowerPoint, there may be times where a question comes to mind that I want to challenge you to share your feedback or a thought that comes to mind. If it's comfortable for you, Anna and Mia are monitoring the chat. Please feel free to provide input for us. When we gather together, we learn and grow together, right? And I have found that in a lot of the classes and every coaching session that I have with clients, there is always something to learn from someone else if we just have an open heart and an open mind. And as I was preparing for today, preparing my messaging and just saying a little prayer that I could lean into God for what he would want me to share with you, I was talking with Anna and Mia in advance of as we jumped on. And I had mentioned that one of the things I've learned through the years of talking with people about money is that it is not always an easy topic, that there frequently are a lot of emotions associated with money. That stems from any number of things. For many people, emotions around money were growing up in a home. There was lack or scarcity. And so money is a difficult topic. I also have worked and coached and been in groups with many people where they have grown up in a home where they have had abundance, but there wasn't healthy conversation around money. And sometimes it could cause interpersonal challenges with control over things. And so even people that have lived in abundance, what they thought to be a blessing, can sometimes have a negative effect and negative emotions associated with the thought of money. So as we gather today, unfortunately, I won't have time to get to know you individually when I do a series of classes. It's it's fun because I can get to know people, but I am cognizant of the fact and sensitive to the fact, and I think we all are as women, that everybody does not have the same feelings or thoughts about money. But what I do know is today we've gathered together in common bond and unity that we do have a desire to learn and grow, that this is a new year, and regardless of what our past has given us or what our future will dictate, we are dedicated to trying to take charge of our own finances and learn and grow. So shall we embark on our journey of financial freedom? Is everybody ready? And is there, once again, a reminder, if anybody has any questions that they'd like, feel free to use the chat. Anna, good to go with the PowerPoint? I'll pull it up on my end. Bear with me a moment. All right, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see the PowerPoint and if you can hear me? Beautiful. All right, so women of tomorrow, here we are, financial freedom for 2023. I did prepare this program keeping in mind what I knew about some of you and your journeys and our desire to continue to grow and become members of our community and make a meaningful difference in our lives of those we are circulating with, our family and friends, and try to challenge us in the area of finances. There was any number of things that I could have chosen to speak about in the area of finances today, but I decided that financial freedom for 2023 would be a great place to begin. So why financial freedom and why now? So we know that we're in the start of a brand new year in 2023. And consistently, money, the making of money, the saving of money, and health and well-being, the area of losing weight, eating better, and exercising are continually at the top of people's lists of New Year's resolutions, right? So I thought we might as well seize on the moment. I don't know if any of you have made any New Year's resolutions, but at the start of a brand new year, here we are. And so let's think about what we might want to do differently in our finances in order to make our 2023 our best year ever. I don't know if you have spent any time thinking about your financial goals, but we're winding up the first month of the year already. So what I would challenge you to do is think about where you were last year and where you're headed for this year in 2023. I also would offer you something that I learned this year that I'm doing for the first time. And I got in connection with another group of coaches. This is an international coach. And what he suggested is that we pick a particular word for the year that might define what we would want to think about doing. So my word of the year is balance, balance in all different areas of life, not just finances. So you might want to challenge yourself to think of a word. Some of the words I have heard in the circles I've traveled in are gratitude, action, movement. Different words reflect what we want to do for the course of the year. So I challenge you to think of your word of the year. So in terms of today, there's three main things I would like to cover. And I'll just give you a moment to take a look at those. Like to define during the context of our messaging what financial freedom is. I'd like to ask us to think about listening to the messages that we hear in society about financial success and financial freedom. And then as a coach, I always ask people for a call to action and think about what we are going to do to make progress on our plan. So it's about listening, learning, and then doing. Context for today: listening, learning, and doing. Because if we are gathered here today, I hope that in addition to listening and learning, that we are called to action and we will be doing. I do want to remind you, however, to set yourselves up for success for this hour, because we have only an hour together. That's it. Our time is very, very short. And so when we only have a short period of time together, what I would ask is that you manage your expectations. We want to get something done, but we won't be able to get everything done that we would like. So manage your expectations. And I would also ask that you try to push out the distractions and cares and worries of today, and focus for the time that we have together on the context of what we're working on today. Does that sound good to everybody? Beautiful. All right. So we're managing our expectations, and now we're thinking. What does financial freedom look like for you? In other words, what would have to happen in your finances for you to really be worry or stress-free about money? And what portion of that is in your control? So I'm just going to give you a moment to think about that. And Anna, if you have anybody who would like to share what financial freedom would look like for them, or what would have to happen, feel free to, let me know if there's anything that comes in through the chat. I'll just give you a moment in case anybody wants to put in there what financial freedom might look like for them.
I have Alexa, who says debt-free.
Right on, Alexa. Who else has a vision for what would enable them to worry less about money in 2023?
Hey, Sia, she says sufficient emergency savings.
Oh, we're going to be talking about that. That is beautiful. Having money in reserve for when life throws us a curveball, right? Who knew in 2020 that we were going to have a global pandemic, right? Having an emergency fund, especially if you had to take time off of work, or if you were one of those moms who had to move their job inside and then had to take care of an aging parent and a young baby, right? Talk about the benefit of an emergency fund, right? What else? Anybody have something else they'd like to share?
Oh yeah, they're talking. Aaliyah says passive income. Being able to invest more into retirement. I'm getting here as well. Investing for an older age by Melissa. Jackie is stable income and sufficient savings. Vanessa, it is important to have emergency savings solutions to capture you when you fall, and savings for the future. Tanisha, debt-free and multiple streams of income without feeling burnt out. Additional passive income, stability in income. Learn to teach my girls to save or invest. So passing it on to that next generation. Yeah, that's what we have. Some good stuff.
Beautiful. Excellent. There wasn't really any component of anything that you women said that I don't think at one time or another probably would cross us in our path of life, right? At some point, we're probably going to have debt. At some point, we're probably going to have a lack of savings. At some point, we're going to cross someone, either our own children or a niece or a nephew or a child we care about, that is looking at us for how we handle our money. So we have an obligation to teach the next generation about money. So I like all your thoughts. Good stuff. Financial freedom looks different for everyone. And thank you for sharing what it might look like for you. Now, I'd like to just really share with you a little bit about my own personal journey and how I came to be so passionate about financial freedom. And I tell you a little bit about myself, not because my journey is going to be your journey, but because we all want to be aware that everyone is on a different journey, but there is likely something we can learn from it. So I hope this helps you. So I kind of divide my career up in 2 acts. The first act, as Anna mentioned, I was an investment advisor. I worked for almost 20 years as a broker, where I listened to what people needed to have happen with their money. I then invested their money, and then I managed those portfolios. So most of my clients were with me for as long as my career. It was an extremely rewarding and gratifying career, financially, personally, and mainly because a lot of the people I worked with were either fully retired or semi-retired. So I had a great opportunity to learn from them. So in addition to trying to do my own job well to serve people, I had a great opportunity to learn. And the reason why I chose the first act is for several things that happened in my growing up years. And in my growing up years, I was born into a wonderful family, hardworking, middle class, what I considered middle class. I was blessed with a lot of the comforts of life from hard labors that my parents put in. But then when I was in high school and continuing on into college, my parents made some not so good decisions with investments and money. And a financial crisis came upon us that I had never experienced until then in my life. And it radically changed my thoughts about money. And then it was coupled with an illness that came about very suddenly from my father. And all of this was the framework of my thoughts about money and financial security and family stability. And it was indeed the driver for why I chose to do what I do in my first act. And that is, I knew, and it goes beautifully in line with some of you women, what some of the women have shared in the chat before this slide. And that is that I wanted to be able to have a job where I could earn enough money to actually have some savings. So if there was an emergency, that I would have had some money saved. I also wanted to be able to be financially independent. In my 20s, unlike a lot of my friends who had met the loves of their life in high school or college and got married, that was not me. But I wanted to be able to provide for myself. I didn't know if I would ever get married. I was blessed finally to meet my husband as I approached my 30s. We'll be married for 30 years this October. But for much of my working life in my 20s, I had no desire or interest in being married. I wasn't going to be married until I felt the love of my life came along. So I was planning on remaining financially independent for as long as possible. And it was strengthening and empowering to me. So my thoughts about money and what I needed to happen with the money were the driver for why I chose my first career. And it may be the same for some of you. I wanted to work in a career where if I was a self-starter, driven and motivated. Sales was a perfect venue for me to travel in. Also, I had worked around money. My family had a business. I studied finance in college. So managing of financial assets was in perfect alignment with me. Hence, that's why I chose the career that I did for my first act. So in sharing that story with you, it's not really so much that I could tell you my journey. It's more is I'm hopeful it serves as an example for you that your vision of financial freedom will indeed likely drive the choices that you make in your life. So please work hard to identify what it is that financial freedom means for you. In my young life, I felt like I lived in abundance, not the abundance that that rich people have had. I'm not talking about having a lot of money, but I'm talking about growing up in a family where my basic needs and my basic wants were met. And then that changed. And that brought a lot of stress into the family. So my idea was that I have to work hard to try to find a career that I could be financially independent, and that would indeed enabled me to make more than I needed to live so that I could save and build for the future. On to Act 2. Oh, life is ever changing, isn't it, ladies? And we have to be flexible and adaptable in order to meet those changes. The same is true with our finances. So Act 2 of my career, because of my idea of financial freedom, drove me to a new career path. When I was in my 30s, my mother became a widow at a young age, and I knew that she would likely need some help in care as she aged. The job that I had as an investment advisor did not provide me that flexibility. So I had to be thinking with my spouse of what I was going to do and what were we going to do together. So what we did was I decided I needed to prepare myself for the change of caring for my mother in her elderly years. Being a financial advisor, although it provided much satisfaction and provided an opportunity for my family to have a great degree of financial security, did not provide what I needed at that point in my life, which was the flexibility of my time. So my husband and I put together an exit strategy. We worked for 5 years. Let me say that again, because I know that's a long time, especially for people in their 20s or 30s. 5 years in order to be able to leave the job I was in. So how did we do it? It's difficult and yet simple. Both coming from working class families, the only way that we knew we could make a smooth transition with me leaving my business and not knowing what my next career would be was to learn to live on a lot less money. And I know it's a message people don't like to hear, to live on a lot less money, but sometimes in life it is necessary. I'm coaching a gal right now who's 29, who did not like her job. She lives in Boca. She left her job, and now we're planning a transitional plan for her to move to New York, to start a new life for herself. She is learning through new budget work that we've done together to live on less. I know it's not easy, but sometimes it's necessary. So back to my second act, live on a lot less money, one by one, just like many of you said, in order to get to financial freedom. We paid off our credit cards, paid off student loans, paid off one car loan, a second car loan, and then we paid off our house. And I tell you that once again, not because my journey would be your journey, but we were highly motivated to be flexible and adaptable, that when all of my friends were buying new houses and bigger houses and driving new cars and better cars and taking great trips and having nice clothes, oh, we were fortunate. We had a place to live, a car to drive, all of that. But we were not going to be able to continue to make those choices and put ourselves in position for me to be able to leave my career. So once again, I tell you this story, not so much because I'm interested in sharing my path with you, but to challenge you to think about defining your idea of financial freedom so that the choices that you make for how you spend your time and your effort will get you where you want to go. For me, the flexibility and adaptability of knowing that I needed to leave that job, not because I wanted to make less money, but because I had to in order to do what I wanted to do. And hence, because I was clear on that, and we worked through all of getting out of the bondage of debt, being content living on less money, realizing that the things that I once did, I would no longer be able to do, which would mean, by the way, that I may have to give up some friendships along the way because I could no longer hang out in the places and the things that we did. It's okay. The friends that were true understood, right? And the people that are just hanging around you for what you might have are not true friends anyway. So going along, I would like, if you would, to say this with me together. If anybody would want to take their microphone off mute and repeat this with me, feel free to do that, but I'm going to read it aloud for us. Financial freedom is being content, living within your means, Yes, with a budget. I know it's hard. Without debt and with a plan to save, invest, give, and build wealth. That is what I consider financial freedom. So what does financial freedom look like for you? I'm coming back to that same question. And maybe I've given you a few things to think about that you can define that a little bit more clearly for yourself. And I want you to be highly aware and highly in tune of the messaging that we receive in society about what financial success and financial freedom looks like, because it is strong, powerful, bold, and in our face like never before. Some of us get our messaging on a daily basis from the scrolls that we do on our social media. Some of us will get our messages by the movies we watch, the TV shows we watch. Some of us will look at magazines and see women looking a certain way, right? What does the messaging tell us? Well, I feel the messaging is a lot about this. You will be financially successful when you make a certain amount of money, when you drive a certain car, when you live in a certain neighborhood, you graduate from a certain college, when you can afford to send your children to a certain school, and very dangerously, when you look a certain way. But we as smart women and the women of tomorrow, we are not buying into that, are we? Because much of that is a lie. And you know why it's a lie. I didn't understand this in my 20s and 30s or even my 40s. Oh, but I do now. And I am now the ripe old age of 60, ladies. So I really have some clarity on this subject now. The reason why we're not buying into that is because the messaging that society gives us about financial success is exclusionary. If we don't drive a certain car, live in a certain neighborhood, have a certain job, have $1 million, make a certain amount of money, we are not financially free or at peace. But we are smarter than that. And we understand that we are not defined by those things. And I'll give you an example. What about the men and women who serve as teachers, nurses, firefighters, and policemen and women? All would agree, would we not, by a show of hands, those are extremely important and beneficial jobs for our society. Well, if it is your goal to make $1 million a year, you will not be achieving financial success by choosing one of those career paths. So if we only define financial success by the amount of money we make, then all of those brave, bold, and smart men and women will never have a chance at financial success, right? So what I suggest is that we more align our realistic financial goals with what we want to do, what we're good at, and what we care to do. I'm not saying for a time in our lives that we won't have to work 1, 2, or 3 jobs in order to make ends meet. Sometimes we just do what we have to do. But what we want is we want to have a free thinking mind about choosing our own path for financial freedom. And if you are called to the occupation of teacher, you will not be tricked into believing that just because you can't make $200,000 a year at that job, that you are not financially successful, right? Because I will tell you this, from my close to over 25 years of coaching people and listening to people and hearing their stories about money, this is another thing I've learned. And I hope you'll take this away and pocket this, because this is extremely important information. What society would tell us is the more money we make, the more financially successful we are. But I have a secret to tell you. It's not true. Okay? And the reason why it's not true is because the facts don't bear it out. Let me share with you that in the United States of America, the average family in America is now making over $70,000 a year, more than we ever have before. Okay. So we would think that in a time of prosperity, making more than we ever have before, it would align with financial peace and freedom. But no, because we are in more debt than we ever have been before, and we have less savings than we ever have before. So we will not buy into the lie that making more money will necessarily get us financial peace and freedom. If indeed financial peace and freedom aligns with being without debt and having money to save, give, and build wealth. I have worked with people who will never make more than $70,000 a year in their job. Yet they could have $500,000 saved for their retirement after 30 or 40 years of labor and saving. They will have a full pension from their hard labors. And they are continually giving of their time, talents, and treasures, because they are not waiting till a certain point in their life to give generously. Because we all know, because we're women, we're givers. We know that we are not only paid when we give monetarily, we're paid by the blessings we receive by giving to others. So don't wait. Let's not wait to give of our time, talents, and treasures until we reach a certain point. I hear people say, Mary, I'm not going to save for my retirement until I do XYZ. I'm like, nope, you must save now. You must get in the habit of saving and building good habits. And good news for everybody. Once again, I put this up here in the program because I want you to understand this, that despite how little one might make, or because of how much someone might make, it doesn't necessarily ensure what I feel is financial peace and freedom. Because whether you're making $50,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $5,000 a year, or $5 million a year, if you are not content living on less than what you make, eventually you will charge things and buy things you cannot afford. And I understand we all will have debt at times in our life. It's okay. But we just don't want to live in that space. And we must continually think about saving, giving, and building wealth. And that is true no matter how little or how much money you make. It's that hard and that simple. I just have to figure out a way that no matter where I am in my life, I have to be content on living on less than what I make. I have to have a budget. I have to stay away as much as I can from debt. And I have to have a plan to save, invest, give, and build wealth. And if you have that mindset, then financial success and freedom is no longer exclusionary or discriminatory. Those aren't always easy words for me. It's not always, it is attainable for everybody, no matter your age in life or what you do, but it will usually take lots of hard work and time. And it starts with the first step. What better time than right now? I'm challenging you in some real thinking about what you want for financial freedom for this year and what you could do. Well, I feel you've taken the first step because you're here today. So now I'm going to give you some suggestions for what else you might want to consider doing. Step number 1. Oh, we must do a budget. Oh, I know it's hard. And I know the B word has a lot of bad connotations. But why don't we just keep it simple? Instead of thinking of the budget being restrictive, how about thinking of the budget as enlightening us into the opportunities of what we can do or cannot do based on how much money we have? There's 2 components. You need to know how much money you bring in, and you need to know your expenses. And then you need to write them down. I don't care if you do it on paper, Excel spreadsheet, there's tons of budget apps, worksheets, whatever you use, but you must know what you're bringing in and you must know your expenses. And what I have found in doing this type of work for over a decade as a financial coach and teacher is I have found that once people lose their hope and they lose their way, it is very difficult to keep the numbers. But what I do know is this. I heard Dave Ramsey say this once. Some of you may have heard him. He's done a lot of work in the area of helping millions of people get out of debt. I happened to go through his training way back in 2010. I have been a Dave Ramsey preferred financial coach for over a decade. So I share in the mission of helping people get out of debt. And this is one of the very many things I learned, is that being poor is a state of mind. Being poor spiritually, being poor mentally, being poor financially is a state of mind. Being broke is just a season. It's just where we're passing through. I've been there. No money. I was broke, but not poor, because I had not lost my hope. So I don't know what your past has shown. I don't know the people you're hanging out with, but what I do know is that we are not women who are poor in spirit, that we want to move forward with strength and knowledge and have the belief that we may be broke and we may not be living in abundance, but it is only for a time, and keeping track of our numbers will help us. The second thing is, you want to know what your debt is. I know it's hard, especially if you owe family members and friends, banks and credit cards and doctors. If we owe a lot of people money, I understand it's hard, but you also must keep track of your debts. Debts will enslave you. They will become your bondage. And what I suggest to people is you want to create a mindset that the debt is just for a time, that ultimately you are going to get rid of it, that you are on a path and have a plan to become debt-free, that you're not going to hang around people that say, I'm always going to need a car, so I'm always going to have a car payment. I'm always going to need a place to live, so I'm always going to be in debt. Nope. A third of Americans live without a mortgage. I can tell you and show you, if we were in a room gathered, hundreds or maybe thousands of people now, that in my 10 plus years of working in this kind of work, that are driving fully paid for cars, that the first time they met with me and they had a car loan, I told them that is the very last car loan you will ever have. They didn't believe me. 5 years later, 10 years later, they send me a text and email, Mary, you were right. That was my last car loan. I figured out a way to do it. So the debt, we have to know. Also, think about your saving, giving, and investing. I wish that saving and investing was as fashionable as spending. I know everybody wants to talk about the deal that they got on something they purchased. What I really like is hanging out with people who want to talk about how much money they saved last year. I want to be in a classroom where I was, where a gal who was in her early 20s with tears running down her face said to me, Mary, I am going to be the first person in my family who has ever had $1,000 in the bank, ever. She is going to change her family tree because she found a way and she's willing to work at it, right? So think about saving, investing, and giving as the cool thing to do. It's the part of life to embrace that with new habits and new behaviors. And then what I suggest is that you keep it simple. Oh, there's lots of noise out there. Oh, somebody's going to write a book about how to get rich quick on real estate. Somebody's going to tell you about how to get in a cryptocurrency link. I don't even know what that is, but I know people are making a lot of money in it. I don't understand it, so I can't join it because I don't join things I don't understand. And that's one thing I don't understand, right? So there's all this information out there. But what I suggest to people is keep it simple. Figure out how much you make. Ask yourself, do you have enough coming in? If not, you may need to get another job or find a way to make some more money. Put a thought in your mind that you want to get rid of your debt, and then save, give, and build wealth. Build new habits, even if it's the smallest amount at a time. Maybe you're going to start with putting $5 in an envelope, which I have had many people come through my classes with $5 in an envelope. First time ever they'd saved anything. So keep it simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And then have a keen awareness that having an open heart and an open mind to grow, no matter where you are in life or what your age is, that anything is possible. and who you're hanging out with will have an influence on the choices that you make about money. So I'm not suggesting that we can just find people who are positive all the time. That wouldn't be realistic for us as humans with the challenges and sorrows and hardships that we go through. But we do want to hang around people as it relates to money who are positive, who are believing that if they don't have enough, they are just passing through and are ready to move forward with a plan. And then the last thing I'll challenge you with is some specific steps to become money smart. Oh, I've heard all kinds of things through the years. Mary, I'm not good with money. Mary, I never had anybody teach me about money. Mary, I don't have a high school degree or a college education. I didn't study finance. Oh, I'm a free spirit. I'm a creative. I'm a musician. I'm that. I get all of that, but we still have to become smart about money. Okay, our money. So with that, I challenge you to take some steps. Here's some things to do. Feel free to take a screenshot. Anna, you can send this around, whatever. These are the things that I challenge you and suggest that you might want to consider doing for 2023. Couple books that really made a significant impact on me and my thoughts about money. One of them is with The Total Money Makeover. You could go to Dave Ramsey or Amazon or wherever. I think you could get it now for $10 to $15. I guarantee it will be some of the best money, if not the best less than $20 investment that you made all year. And then The Million Next Door for me was fantastic because, and I do suggest it for all of you, because it brings to mind that people that look like they have a lot might not be the ones that have a lot. And the people that don't look like they have much may indeed be the ones that could be the millionaire. And then I suggest that you seek wise counsel, find friends and family and other professionals who you can ask questions to in a trusted environment about money. I have some free tools myself. You can go to my website, financialjourneys.net. I put out newsletters. I put out classes. I already have my New Year's blog up there about how to set your financial goals. Feel free and access it. It's free. And then Anna, you had asked me in our conversation to provide some tools for people who would like to start a budget. So here's a couple tools. If you go to ramseysolutions.com, across the tab at the top, you'll see the section called free tools. There's some great things to download for free. Once again, keeping it simple, not complicated, just to get us started. And then if you're the kind of person who likes to track things and track your spending and build your budget online and use an app, no problem. Mint and Every Dollar are two of the most popular ones that I know of. They each have a paid version and a free version. Start for free. You don't know which is going to align with what your habits and behaviors are. So I tell people, I've come across lots of people, oh, they spend a ton of money on classes and books and groups and this and that, but it doesn't really align with who they are as people. So try some stuff out. Doesn't matter to me what people use. I tell them all the time, they say, Mary, which one should I use? And I say, the one that suits you. Right? Some clients come to meetings, they have their Excel spreadsheets, their expenses are color coded. It almost makes me pass out. I can't even imagine knowing how to do that. But if that's what they want to do, it's great. So it doesn't matter what you use, just find something for you. And then if some of the things that we've talked about today really have jump-started your thought process and you're ready for action, I am getting ready to launch my first classes of the new semester. Join me for class. It's called My Money Wellness. And how it works is, I'll give you a moment just to take a look at this and then I'll tell you about it. So it's a 3-class series. We teach the fundamentals. This class is for anybody who wants to make progress with a plan. After you come to these 3 classes, you will have everything you need to launch your new year financially. In class number 1, we do budgeting and planning for emergencies. Class number 2, I will show you a way how to tackle your debt. And for those who have no debt at all, I will show you ways to navigate this crazy society that tells us we have to have credit cards and we have to have debts. I will show you how to live debt-free. And if you do have to borrow, I'll teach you some ways about smart ways of doing it. And then the 3rd class came about as a result of when I taught a class in a Baptist church here in Jacksonville, which is where I am. A pastor said to me, I asked him, what would you like me to talk about, Pastor? What could I bring to your congregants? And he said, Mary, what my people tell me is they can get it in the classroom, but they can't do it. So in class number 3, thanks to his wise counsel, I teach a class of building the bridge, how to get what we've learned into action in our life. So I will provide all of the worksheets for how to create the budget. And just like we're doing right now, I will be screen sharing and walking through how to create your budget. And if you come prepared for these 3 classes, you will know how to do all of these things when you leave. You won't need to take I hope you would continue your journey of learning, but you will have enough to equip you to keep going for the year. I'm doing it in February on 3 Thursday evenings, February 9th, 16th, and 23rd. We work for a little over an hour. So that's your investment of time. Your investment of dollars is $150. It includes all the classes and all the materials. For those of you charged up and ready to go, for people who make their decision, I reward people who make decisions and who are ready for action. So you can save $20 if you sign up by February 1st. You can register and pay right online if that is something. And if not, there is still plenty of material that I gave you on the previous screen that you can get for free. Also, as a little gift for you who are here today and Women of Tomorrow, if you sign up for the class, I will provide you with the books by mail for free. I will be providing everybody the PDF forms where you'll download your materials for class and give those to you. But as Women of Tomorrow, and as a thank you for joining this class, if you wanted, I will give you the workbooks for free. And if not, if this class is not where you're at right now, I just encourage you to take advantage of some of the things that I mentioned on the previous slide. And then in closing, I just want to just remind you that financial freedom is for all of us. Wishing you all a happy new year. I hope that you'll make this one your best year ever. And I want to just open the floor now to hear any thoughts of what might have come to your mind as a course of being with us today, or what you're ready to do in order to get your new year going.
Mary, I'm going to read the questions off to you. One question is, would you have other dates available for the training, the 3 classes?
Yes, I'll be holding classes in March as well. Those are on Monday evenings. I can't remember. I'm not going to, well, I guess I can. Just one moment. 3 class series in March is on Monday night, March 6th, 13th, and 20th. Early bird registration is also available on my website for that class as well. If you sign up early, you will also be able to get the discount. And as women who've attended today, when you register, if you do register for that class, please remind me, email me that you are looking for your free gift, and I will get those to you in the mail.
Great, Mary. Thank you. Another question is, do you do individual financial coaching?
I do. That is the area that people generally make the most progress. Individual financial coaching is something I do every day with people. If it is something that you're interested in, if you go on my website, my contact box, I offer a free complimentary consultation to all qualified candidates. You can just email me and let me know, hey, I'd like to learn more about that.